All right. Welcome to the December 2023 edition of Drinks Professionals Network, the final gathering of the year. And until we meet in the next year, we will let's use this session to really think about all that's transpired in the past year. This is Ernesto and I were chatting. It just seems like these monthly sessions allow us to kind of put a bookmark in the year and think about all the things that have gone on. And Ryan is joining us. We'll give her a second there to jump in. So, all right, Mark is here. Stephen is here. Stephen, it's good to see you back. And Bill Mendoza has rejoined. So, Bill, tell us, let's start with you since you're the least, less frequently involved here. Tell us what's new in your world.
Well, I started my own brokerage, B Brands. I'm out of Miami. I'm currently working in the Florida market, Georgia, and Nevada markets that I've had experience in the past. And I'm just here. Carrie brought me in. I worked with Carrie for many years at Bacardi, and she brought me in. And I just want to, hear what you guys are doing, hear the things that are happening out there, and just getting, when you work for a big company, you're always communicating with people. When you have your own company, it's hard to, bounce things off of people and hear other ideas and visions and things like that. So I want to come in here and do this. I got a few brands that I'm representing and just trying to grow my business and understand what everybody's going through.
Well, I think, Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the brands and anything, kind of unique that may be happening out there related to them.
I have one of my brands is called Curveball Barbecue Whiskey. It's a new brand in the market, new to world brand. It's a brand that you really have to taste. I've been in front of buyers and they've looked at it and goes, there's no way I'm bringing that in. And then they taste it and they're like, wow, man, that's pretty good, So that I got a line of cream liqueurs, Somras cream liqueurs. I have a mezcal called a Cool Mezcal. Just got a double gold in the Proof Awards last in November. And then I'm also selling a biodegradable edible straw that I just started selling for the pools in Vegas. And Carnival Cruise Line sells 16 million. We sell 16 million of these straws to Carnival Cruise Lines, and they're edible, biodegradable, and eco-friendly, which is the driver for the brand. And I just started with that last month, and already had some.
Sounds pretty cool. I've heard about it. I've never actually experienced the edible straw. And it does maintain its functionality until you're ready to eat it?
It maintains in a cold drink for at least 40 minutes. The colder the drink, the longer it'll stay. If you put it in a frozen, the longer it'll stay. And it was just something I looked at that I saw that I was like, man, I just went on a meeting because I'm trying to grow my business and not saying no to anybody right away. But it was something that captured my attention, and the buyer from Carnival Cruise Lines that happened to be a friend of mine, and I reached out to him, and he was very interested. And and he still liked it, and he's using it. And I was like, I jumped on board with it. I'm trying to do some business with them in Nevada at the resorts and the pools, and I presented to Fat Tuesdays and just going through that, and all in the last 30 days.
Wow. Well, the cruise line makes a lot of sense because that's a whole part of, they probably obviously go through a ton of them, and the waste is a big issue out there. That's very cool. So are you trying to get them placed in, aside from the obviously the major venue buyers, something that would be available in retail? Like
that's what I proposed to the owners when I met with them. They have a pack. Unfortunately, I don't have one right in front of me. They have a pack that's a 16 pack that they sell in France. And I'm like, they're in the process of converting that into English, because I think it's a great pack that you could sell in a Total Wine or any liquor store or any grocery store. And it's very cool. The response has been pretty well well received, so I'm going back to Vegas in a couple weeks as they're getting ramped up for pool season and see what we could get done there.
That sounds great. Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Innovation. All right, let's see. Stephen, you've been busy because we haven't seen you in a couple months. Not that you're never not busy, but what's new? What's new with you?
Well, I am going through a very rough effort to either raise funds or sell the distillery at this point.
Hmm.
It's been a pretty rough year for us. We suffered. I built my business expecting 30 to 40% export, and the Trump trade war gutted us. Then COVID hit. Then, we maintained all our offshore trading relationships. And in 2022, when the industry got the punitive tariffs removed, all our European and UK clients began placing stocking orders, and then the war in Ukraine ramped up, and everything came to a screeching halt again. And worse, we had a deal with a German grocery store that was a 10,000 case a year initial order. And they cited force majeure and canceled it. And at this point, I've got a family of award-winning spirits, a world-class production facility that is operating at less than 15% capacity, and I need cash. So pretty much that's been my focus for the last couple of months. Yeah, I'm still traveling. Yes, I'm still doing some judging and other things, but it's really all about networking and finding someone to come in and give an influx of cash, become an equity investor, or take the company and, either I stay and run it or I don't. But as I think you're all aware, we have more awards and accolades than most, at least smaller distilleries in the U.S. We have a beautiful, mature family of products, 3 different brands. We were a leader in the American single malt world, and are poised, if someone were to walk in, to become a major player in that segment. And I literally spend my every breathing hour, I hate to say it, begging for money. And it's tough out there right now. I mean, I have several spirit-centric capital groups that have said to me, if we can find the money, we'll invest in you. And they haven't said no. They said, we're looking at funding sources. But, I've been doing this tap dance now for, what, in some way, shape, or form, 18 months.
Yeah.
And, my wife and I are well off. We are not wealthy. We've self-funded this largely. And, yeah, we're running out of our own financial resources to keep this thing alive until we can actually scale. So if you know anybody with a checkbook that wants to be in the whiskey business, let me know.
Yeah, and I know that I've mentioned one potential source, and they have been delayed significantly from doing their public offering. But and it's supposed to, we're back to like it's any minute now. And once that happens, they do have in their plan is going and making equity investments.
And let me add a couple other things. Given that I'm looking to potentially sell majority stake or the entire company, I'm in the process of, I've set up a new legal shell of spinning off my consulting work. And so there's a new company. There'll be a press release after the first of the year called Consulting Alchemist. We have negotiated North American representativeship for a couple of different larger entities. It's not public yet, but I can tell you that one of them is a 50 million LPA producer of whiskeys and neutral spirits that we will be representing. Already in negotiations with one of the majors to create a new supply line for them for an organic, kosher certified neutral wheat spirit. we have negotiated, and we'll make this public separately after the first of the year, but I can talk about it. We will be the North American exclusive representative for Beamish International, which means that if somebody wanted to walk in and buy Macallan casks from Macallan, they're 30, 40, 50 years old, I would be the person to talk to in North America to do so. The same for a variety of other major Scottish producers. Plus, we can provide cask management, storage, bottling services, and a variety of other rare cask services. And then doing a variety of other bulk things that I've kind of always done. I don't do a whole lot of it, though I have at times. I mean, you may not be aware, but I did 40% of the original buy for Blackened, which was a lot of whiskey at prices that we won't see again anytime soon. When it happened. And then I'm still doing consulting. I mean, I just finished up a project for a rum company in Central America where I revamped their supply chain. And that's the other thing is, so I spent years doing international logistics and supply chain work for major corporations and worked for one of the top consulting firms in the world doing so. I ran Ford's supply chain in Asia. And so the service offering for Consulting Alchemist will be a blend of master distiller, procurement, sourcing, and supply chain services. So little different than what other people are doing. With this particular rum company, I did a full streamlining and cost analysis of their supply chain and was able to pull about 20% of their landed cost of ownership for their goods being imported into the U.S. off the top of their supply chain. So I'll be offering those types of services along with, production related services as well. So a lot going on. I'm not sitting on my hands. I'm not just saying, woe's me, Golden Moon's out of money. I will continue to march. And so there's a lot coming down the road and I'm incredibly busy. And, but yeah, I'm looking for investors or buyers for Golden Moon at this point.
All right, well, we need to connect separately on this, but anyone else have any thoughts or possible parties who might be interested in taking a look? Have you, I mean, we've discussed this before, but you've talked to the Coors folks, right, in the past?
I have.
Yeah, I mean,
I have, and they've looked at us. They wanted to partner with us on 5 trails, but we didn't have the scale they wanted at the time.
yeah.
We did not have a bottling line at the time. We have a brand new bottling line at this point. That with our growth plans would keep us easily in capacity for another 5 years.
Yeah.
But they cut a deal with Bardstown and have gone in a very different direction at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they still tend to, I see those folks pretty regularly in my tasting room. Several members of the Coors family come by and taste whiskeys and keep in touch, but they're focused on other things right now. And the guy that's leading the charge for their whiskey business is walking very cautiously. It's David. David is Pete's son, and he feels that nobody in the company trusts him, so he's being very risk averse. And throwing his cards in with a Bardstown is a lot safer potentially than throwing his cards in with a small craft distillery down the street. No matter what my capacity has the potential of being or how beautiful, and I've got better infrastructure than any distillery in Colorado. I mean, everybody that walks into my distillery is blown away when they see what we built. For what you could invest in it, you couldn't recreate it.
Right.
Not even close.
All right. Well, we hope that we can, as a group, maybe help to move some mountains for you.
Stephen, I just texted you. I could potentially help get rid of the inventory. That's at least.
We're not there to get rid of the inventory yet, but we want to sell some of that down for sure. I appreciate it.
So yeah, check your messages because
I'll send you the updated. I know I owe you a call. I've been running like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah, you do. But I can send over at least the volume and whatnot because Europe is buying a lot of bourbons and whiskeys. So
put it this way, in the last 4 months, On my potential investor tracker, I've got 126 active contacts, all of whom are looking. Nobody's writing a check, and over half of whom have said, you know, if we can find something, we want to do something, maybe, possibly, blah, 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 you know, and I'm circling back and, you know, I'm
These
looking
are
at building
fresh buyers
consortiums.
that are looking to put it in grocery and want zero support to grow it over there. So
Well, and that's the deal I lost in Germany. You know, I mean, like I said, I had an HC container initial order for a grocery chain in Germany. And when the war in Ukraine kicked off and they cut the natural gas, they literally emailed me after 3.5 years in a holding pattern and said, we're citing force majeure and canceling our deal with you.
I'm so sorry.
You know, I've got 35, 40 years at this point in business, and it's the only time I've ever actually seen a force majeure clause in a contract activated.
Of course.
So there you have it.
Well, this means something better is on the other side of this. So
Of course it does. Of course it
whatever
does.
I can to at least help sell what you've got.
And I appreciate that. And like I said, you know, I'm still consulting. I've still got people. I mean, I just finished a glass bottle project for somebody else related to spirits. And I can't go into detail because there's an NDA, but it's a pretty fascinating project. And, you know, so people are still hiring me to look at both supply chain stuff and do master distilling work. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what the next 6 months holds, but I'm not going to be sitting at home on the couch. That's for sure.
Mhm. All right. Well, Erica has joined us. Hello, welcome back, Erica Ducey.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
What's new in your world?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I just got back from the World Bulk Wine Exposition in Amsterdam. And it was fascinating to me because in so many other parts of the business and so many other, people that I talk to around the wine industry right now, spirits too, but particularly in the wine industry, I think with relation to low and no alcohol products, a lot of people in wine are kind of like, yeah, we're not looking over there. Like, we can't see this right now. This is not happening. And at the same time, retailers that I'm talking with are saying our wine sales are down. And producers that I'm talking with are saying, my wine sales are down, whether online or, in person, etc. So going into this World Bulk Wine Exchange, I was giving a talk about some of the biggest takeaways that we found in the podcast and with the recent survey that we did of 1,300 millennials and Gen Zs and sort of the takeaways around how drinking norms are changing. And I was actually completely surprised that the bulk wine community was fully already on top of we're doing spinning cones, we're taking part of our supply and we're turning it to low and no alc. Here's the innovations that we're bringing into the marketplace. Like, it was shocking to me that this particular part of the industry has already made action on expanding its capabilities around low and no and is pursuing it much more aggressively than any other part of the industry that I've seen. So that was super eye-opening.
Interesting. Any other takeaways from your survey?
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of takeaways about how millennials and Gen Zs are changing, the way that they buy wine, the drivers that they have for buying wine are so much more, different than older generations. So, for example, where a lot of wine companies still think it's important to be advertising in, to get critic scores and be advertising in magazines and so forth. That's not at all where these younger audiences are looking to find out about wine. They actually are looking to social media and to friends and family. So there's like takeaways like that. There's takeaways around how, now essentially if you're in wine and spirits, your competition is no longer wine and spirits. It's better for you sodas, it's THC drinks, it's, all of the non-alc categories, et cetera. I mean, the numbers that we saw of, adoption rates of these types of products for these younger audiences was like, pretty surprising. More farther, I think these categories, we see them in their, we think they're in their infancy, but for these younger audiences, they're really becoming the norm.
And so the positioning of wine online, is that a factor for younger buyers? Because since wine has always been much more readily available, not always, but than spirits online.
Yeah. So do you mean like positioning how?
Just in terms of reaching the are the younger consumers focused on looking at ordering online?
Yeah, I think online adoption is definitely something that people expect. I mean, I think, some of the other kind of big takeaways we found were, it's really, there's really something to be said for availability. So, the people that we talk with, and we also, so in this 90-page report we have these kind of free form data, so you can click through and actually see the actual responses. But there's so many things. Like there's the availability piece, they definitely expect it to be available online, but they are really purchasing the brands that are easy to find, easily available. And so, that is kind of benefiting sort of larger brands that have built up awareness and distribution. But it's, there's kind of less sort of searching out, I'd say. So if you are like a small brand and you're available on social and you're coming in across, people are coming across your brand easily, then yes, they're going to be able to find you. But it's definitely such a crowded marketplace out there. And the way that we saw people of these younger audiences are drinking, they're switching categories, from wine to beer to non-alc spirits to a probiotic soda, not just in a week, but in a day, right? And so like that sort of change of these younger audiences, like what's the number one thing that they're bringing to dinner at the dinner table? It's soda. It's no longer wine. Everything, kind of the way that they're thinking about it, even we found some really interesting stuff on pricing. So we found that 2 out of 3 millennials and Gen Zs are rarely, meaning less than monthly, buying wines above 30, and almost never, 3 out of 4, almost never buying wines above 50. So there's like, it's interesting because I get, called in to consult on projects all the time where it's like a wine over $50 who's trying to position itself to millennials. And I'm like, let me stop you right there, because this is going to be a hard sell. So like, if you're going to market a wine to millennials above $50, like, let's have a conversation around how is the brand positioned so that it is so like such a, either kind of luxury product for them, or there's some sort of way that they can really relate to it and get around it. And there's these stories that are woven into it so that when they're bringing it to share at a special dinner, there's an amazing narrative to tell around it, right? So like, it's like thinking through, I think I see a lot of brands coming into the marketplace, one, not realizing how much competition there is, but 2, just sort of like not the bigger environment of, there's all of these factors now that are really playing into what goes into, purchase consideration that wasn't even present 8 to 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, I'm not of that generation, but I know the only time that I spend significant dollars on wine is when I've actually been to the winery and had a personal connection. So I think the brand who sends buses to college campuses and brings them to the wineries, that's a day of experiencing the brand. They're the ones that are going to be able to sell $50 bottles.
Exactly. That kind of liquid to lips thing is like more important than ever, especially for this younger audience.
Yeah, I mean, I go to the liquor store. I'm with someone who's obsessed with Sauvignon Blanc. So it flows like water. So I'm looking for anything that's, $8.99. Oh, $1.99. But then I come home and, we've got $75 to $100 bottles of Sauvignon Blanc that we got at, a winery. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Carrie, you're on no video, but if you're there, do you want to weigh in on the wine world? Has she gone? Did we? Oh, we don't have audio. You're muted.
Sorry, I had to step away. Yeah, we're in the middle of launching 3 new products. Again, I talked to you the last time not the last time because I'm on every month, but over the summer we launched 2 reds. I can't really tell you what it is, but we're going to be the first person launching an entirely brand new category in the wine business.
An entirely new category.
Yes, it's something that doesn't even exist. I really wish I could tell you, but it because of filings and TTB and all this stuff, I really can't yet because we are on literally a tour of all the Southern houses, meeting with everyone about it, but it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. And when I tasted it, I was really surprised because I went into it thinking, what the hell? As I know a lot of other people are, and I've seen the reactions to some of the meetings, but I think it's really cool. It's under one of the brand names that we have that is existent and very popular. It is a line extension, but it's a whole different thing that nobody's ever seen before.
Well,
So,
that's a good tease.
I know I've got you all wondering. I know I'm the
That
first one
is
to
a
get
good
you about
tease.
orange wine, and we all went out and drank it.
Yep.
It's not an orange wine. We still have that. And actually, orange wine does have its own day now, so it's more popular than ever, believe it or not. But yeah, stay tuned for our January meeting, and I'll fill you in. But it's
All right.
It's something that you've heard of, but you've never seen it done like this before.
I mean,
It's a completely new category.
I'm sold. I
Okay.
don't know what it is. But
But if I'm telling you about it,
do we want to have guests? Do we want to do a go around the horn and have people guess what they think it is? No, you can't answer it. So
I can't answer, but I would be curious. But nobody has guessed yet because I'm having to call all my distributors and say, hey, we need to schedule up this meeting. I need to fly in. We've already gone through the first round of samples that came out of Italy. Okay, well, everyone knows I work for an Italian company, so that could be a little bit of a hint right there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tomato wine. No.
Oh God. No, but I did this Brooklyn Wine Festival a few weeks ago, and they had a grapefruit wine. And the guy next to me had a wine made from upstate New York near Albany out of tree sap. I swear to God, I did not taste it, but it was bizarre.
Well, Michael Clancy has apparently tasted orange wine.
What, Ryan? Sorry.
Oranges he just shared with us.
Yeah, I said tomato wine made work because we all cook with both. When you're Italian, wine is always in the recipe. So
well, Ryan has a concept.
You might know. You might be onto something, Michael.
Yeah. No, I tasted the actual orange wine made with real oranges. It was very interesting. Very
but
marmalade.
The real orange wine is just made out of grapes, like a rosé.
No. This was orange wine. That's what I thought it was when they said orange wine, but this was actually made with oranges. It was made with orange fruit. So like everywhere I was in Seville and Malaga and another little town near there for a few days, and everywhere on the streets there's orange trees growing. And anyway, they had made this wine with real orange.
Is it more like a fruit?
No, it was like a dark wine. It was like a fortified wine, so it was made like a sherry. Basically, they made a wine from the fruit wine from the oranges, and then they fortified it with a brandy. I don't know, was it an orange brandy or a grape brandy? But basically, they fortified it. So it was
So was it really sweet?
It was quite sweet. Yeah.
Did
like an Oloroso, or I mean, like
I may have a picture of it. Wait till I see. Do I have a picture?
Do you know if they put leaves in with the fruit to ferment? Because I know that's a method that they've done with both oranges and with peaches to make wine as well that actually adds some really nice dimension.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm looking here in my photos. Do I have a picture of it? I don't think I have, which is crazy and very unlike me. Just shows I was in the company of my family when I was being pulled out of the wine shop. So anyway, yeah, and somebody mentioned something made from tree sap. So I've had birch sap wine, and we've
Oh, you
actually
have?
we've done a project for somebody
Wow.
where we made a
I
we,
thought the guy was crazy when he was telling me about it. I was like,
we,
what?
we made a spirit out of birch sap as well, which was really funky, really interesting. We did a project for somebody on it, and it didn't kind of go ahead, but it was like an agricole rum. Very, very interesting. There's a product called Freya, which is made from birch sap. It's a spirit made from birch sap, but we were making something similar to that.
A quick search of Google shows a ton of orange wines. One of them even called skins, with wine skin, orange wine, skin contact wine, Gulp Hablo white orange wine. There's recipes for how to make it with tangerines and squeeze satsuma or tangerine orange juice.
Well, that's a whole different weird.
Yeah.
That's not real.
So it's not that you're making anyway, Curry.
Yeah.
I used to drink Mad Dog 2020.
Worked for them too. I've actually been to the distillery, if you would like to call it that.
That's awesome.
It's in Concord.
Yeah, when I was
Grape
16 in the
Country.
parking lot, I did as well.
It's outside of Buffalo, New York, almost to the Pennsylvania border. It's lovely.
I bet it is.
It's the Moke and David factory.
All right, who wants to go next? Who has something they want to add? Change.
I'm listening, but I'm muting myself again because I'm sorry it's loud.
No, thanks, Gary. You're good. Mark, what's new with you? What are you seeing? You're on mute.
I'm on mute. Well, when you said recap the year, wow, what a year it's been. Bump's monthly newsletter will come out today, but I would say that this has probably been, and just, listening to Stephen a little bit, that's kind of what we're hearing really all across the country, all across, each and every category. I know she mentioned that, or Erica mentioned, we call it share a stomach, because there's so many things, influencing the next generation of drinkers and the new generation of drinkers. So it's, how do we get that share of stomach? I would say in the last month, I've gotten more calls from small breweries really all across the country that are ready to throw in the towel. They just can't make it anymore. So Stephen, I feel your pain. You've probably done everything you possibly can to try to figure it out, and you get to the end and it's like you've got to have an influx of cash. So we're hearing from a lot of the small guys.
I got to tell you, if I hear someone else tell me how proud I should be of everything we've built and everything we've accomplished and how amazing what we've done is, and then tell me, but you don't fit our investment model and we can't help you, I think I'm going to puke.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I feel your pain. I'm hearing it from a lot of craft brewers, actually some distillers too. I think when you look at what's happened, particularly in the beer world, we had, something we never thought would happen with, one of the major brewers and the whole Bud Light fiasco. And, that kind of speaks to Erica's point. It's, millennials are watching a lot of the influencers, but you got to be very careful, about the influencers that you choose and how you present that to the public and what you want that to look like. So we've seen, seltzers. This has been the year of seltzers being down. A couple of years ago, seltzers were all the rage and it was flying. And a lot of people got into that game, and now seltzers are, really on a decline. Cider has kind of held steady. Premiums are on their way back a little bit. And of course, FMBs continue to grow, and folks like the High Noon Group, they're still showing increases. And then to what you said earlier, Erica, about the NAs, that whole NA category has just exploded. And I think, I don't know if Carrie's, it's going to be an NA wine or if it's going to be a THC wine or what it's going to be, but between NA and the marijuana legalizations and all those things, we're going to see a lot of CBD and THC and Delta 9 and Delta 8 and a lot of advancement in those areas all across all of the liquid, whether it's water, juice, soda. I'm anxious to see some soda companies probably putting those products into their group, into their products.
Mhm.
So looking ahead, I'm an optimist. I always try to keep my glass half full. I would say that it sounds like the economy is stabilizing a little bit. It sounds like we're not going to have another hike on the interest rate.
Company up, like his. I don't know if y'all talk about that kind of stuff or what. Like, what about them?
Oh, we're having mussels for lunch.
Oh,
Do share, Terry.
I got beat out by mussels. That's not a surprise, right? Look at these guns, right? So I, optimistically, I think consumers are still going to go back to
they started eating mussels.
some of the brands that they know they can rely on and trust. There will be some loyalty back to some of those brands. We're going to see that. We're going to see whole new sets of categories, and like Carrie just said, a whole new product introduction. So those are definitely on the forefront. And I think you will probably see investors, and Stephen, I hope this happens. I think investors will realize there's still money to be made in this category. There's still an opportunity for growth. There's still good things ahead. So my glass is half full that, once we wrap up here, and things are actually looking a little better in the craft world in this in Q4 here. We'll get some numbers probably later today, but things are looking up a little bit, and hopefully investors will start coming back to the category.
Has InBev, have they made any caught up any ground from what they lost at the end later in this year? Because I know they're doing a lot of initiatives to.
I won't have any numbers from AB, and it's just in talking with wholesalers across the country. Some of them have been very active in bringing on new types of products that they, a lot of them have an NA category now, NA category manager, and they've taken on juice, water, NA products, things like that, to try to supplement and fill that gap that, that Bud Light situation prompted. So some have, but not everybody. And some are, unfortunately, some had to streamline. I've heard of, some layoffs as many as, 10 and 12 people. A lot of realignment within the companies as far as delivery routes. A lot of those Bud wholesalers were 2-man routes. They're down to 1-man routes now. They're trying to save, on the delivery side of things, and just like everybody else, trying to squeeze as much as they possibly can out of their staff to do more with less. So go ahead.
Hey, Mark, have you heard anything about the effects of wine and beer and grocery in Colorado? I know what we're seeing, but I'm curious what you've heard.
I haven't seen anything to be specific, Stephen. No.
So I know we're hearing from the wholesalers and from the local Colorado distillers that spirit sales are down between 30 and 40% across the board for wholesale. I heard that from the leadership at RNDC, for example, as well as most of the members of the Colorado Distillers Guild. We're seeing it with our local, with my wholesale as well and my distillery, and a lot of the breweries and even the cideries are saying that they're feeling pain because, it's the convenience factor. Beer and wine has hit grocery and convenience. And so people go into the gas station, they go into Whole Foods. And I mean, I'm even guilty of it. When I can walk through Whole Foods and see a bottle of Chimay, I think last year I drank probably 4 beers in a year. I bet I've had a dozen, but that's still 300% increase in my buying. And that's because they're in the grocery store. So I'm wondering if there's anything other than anecdotal data out there.
Well, you're spot on the convenience piece. People that used to buy a 6-pack are now going into a convenience store after they get gas, and they're buying, maybe 1 or 2, and the new package is the 19.2 ounce. So everybody is, shifted to that 19.2, and people that were buying a 6-pack are just trying one of something else, trying to stretch that dollar a little further. You're right with click list and with clicking and ordering your groceries, there's less traffic, in the grocery channel. So a lot of the craft breweries were working extremely hard to get themselves into a 19.2, get themselves a variety pack, and get themselves into that convenience channel as quickly as possible. Now, having said that, there's only so much room in those convenience channels. They are not like the grocery stores. You don't have 160 feet of cooler space to put everybody's brands in there. So that convenience segment is much tougher for them to break into. Again, if you don't have that package, they're probably not even going to look at you right now because that single serve has gotten so big.
And is that primarily a convenience play? I don't see that as much in the grocery section.
I think I don't know if it's a convenience play or if it's just simply, a consumer has so many dollars in their pocket, they got to get gas. They don't want to go to the grocery store because I don't know what's going on in other parts of the country. I know in some parts of the country there's a rise in respiratory infections now, and COVID is rearing its ugly head again, and people are afraid to go to the grocery store anymore. So they don't want that. They don't want to be around that many people. They want to go in, go to a cooler, get something, have somebody check it out, probably not even touch it because they're going to scan it, and then get out of the store. And I see a lot more people wearing masks when I'm out and about now. I just feel like we're kind of going back to those COVID days where a lot of people were wearing masks. So I don't think it's just convenience, Michael. I think it's probably some of that, but I think it's just, consumer, expendable income. It's just not what it used to be. And, I don't want to take a chance on a 6-pack of some new beer that I haven't tried. And maybe I try it and I don't like it. Now I got 5 that I got to pawn off to my neighbor. If I buy one at the convenience store and I don't like it, okay, I won't buy that again, and save that money.
That's an interesting point, because then it becomes more like a sampling opportunity.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. When I'm out doing samplings, I also would argue it is remarkable. I can never believe during a 3-hour period how many people come in and get out of the cold case here in Tennessee, the Fireball or the Crown at a 375, and you just know they just are taking the edge off on the way home. And when you buy a single 19, you're not supposed to be drinking it in the car, but I can guarantee you that's what's happening. People are taking the edge off on the way home with those singles. And I especially agree with your point, Mark. I'd love to test stuff, but I'm not going to take a flyer on a $12 6-pack when I can test it for $2.80.
Right. Yeah, no, I think those days are over for not only the craft segment, but for a lot of segments. People just, they don't want to risk, losing, 75% of their dollar on a flyer. So
Sherman, since you've been doing a lot of tastings, are there any other observations, anything that comes to mind that you've been seeing emerging as a trend or as a?
I can anecdotally tell you that when there's a fight for O&D samplings, the money seems to be stupid. Like they just want in front of people, you know, and they're not asking lots of questions. It's like, just do it for us. And the standards are kind of crazy low. That's been our observation. We kind of tend to deliver what we deliver, and they're okay. But I've been kind of shocked, at least here in this market, as to how aggressive the brands are. If we had people that could have been on the phone scheduling samplings, it's hard telling how many we could have booked. There aren't enough store slots available to get done what people are seeming to want done. We were far more whiskey heavy now than the last couple of months when I was telling you tequila. This time of year brings out the whiskeys and the bubbles for us. So I know that's probably an aggregate reality as well. Nothing overly crazy, just busy.
So when you're saying the standards, in other words, they don't really care if the person knows what the hell they're talking about.
They just want a warm body behind the
They just want to have a warm body there that can pour.
And I know Ryan and would never send out those kind of people. I wouldn't either. But it is literally, thank God we have a few standards, because they're just getting warm bodies behind a table sometimes without asking any questions. It's wasted money, oftentimes. So it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah. So Ryan, what's your perspective on what you're seeing in that space, in the sampling space?
I'm just seeing a lot of people leaving a lot on the table when samplings. Unfortunately, they're sending bodies out to sample product, and there's so much left on the table between the 360 solution of incorporating all of their investments into this. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to my podcast, but I've been going off because all brands are spending on media, on social, on, incentives with their team. And they're not even incorporating any of this into their samplings. There's no tools, there's no marketing materials, there's absolutely nothing but a body in a store with product, which is amazing. However, how are you capturing them and following them home? It's a complete missed opportunity. I'm a little passionate about it, can you tell? It's a complete missed opportunity for so many. And the geofencing concept, I know y'all getting my emails, but the geofencing concept too, like, why not geofence Whole Foods if you're in Whole Foods and target their shoppers? It's completely legal. It's beyond affordable for the return that you get. And the only way for them to, flow you is if they know you. So you've got to stay relevant. It's taking 33 points of contact to close a sale right now because of the competition online and people on their phones. So they have to see you 33 times before they essentially buy.
So when you're doing hot question, so when you're doing
what I meant.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Okay.
This Vanessa, hi y'all. Merry happy holidays. I'm just listening back from the Caribbean. It was wonderful. Ryan, I was following your newsletter. When you guys are doing tastings, or you send out your staff to do the tastings, they're not selling through at that moment in time?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Some of our promotions sell 13 to 30 bottles during a sampling. Absolutely. But I'm just saying you're missing, if you don't have, say you have a distillery tour online, that QR code should be on a shelf talker on the, have it pop out like a Starburst. Let people scan that thing. They're so used to it today to scan due to menus that they're intrigued. If you don't put anything on that Starburst and that shelf talker, or just that QR code, people are nosy. They will want to know what it is. And then you're capturing their IP address, and boom, now you can retarget them and you can see what's working. If you put beacons on your display bottles, for instance, you can monitor their behavior of what side of the bottle they're looking at, which brand did they find most attractive, just cosmetically appealing, right? Like, there's just all these things out there in today's world that will allow you to identify behavior and know how to retarget them. But brands don't even have avatars defined in today's world. So the marketing approach is just like this, free for all versus a very targeted niche marketing approach.
Because I have my website on my on my actual bottle. So my website, and then I'm getting ready to put QR codes on the actual bottle, for more information. And that's always been effective, but I definitely want to do more in terms of that. So the geofencing I'm very interested in. So I got all the
an
information.
opportunity to tell, for you to tell the story. So you could do a video that, find out the story about, meet Black Mama. Right?
And also, Vanessa, consider a QR code to your Instagram that has a bio to your website link. You can essentially capture them on Insta first, then they'll click the bio and go to your website, right? At least capture to follow potentially.
Okay. But I get I have online, but when I do these tastings, like I'll go and do the tastings. A lot of times, if I hire an agency, and I haven't hired your agency or Sherman's agency yet, but when I hired an agency, they're not able to really tell the story effectively the way I want in terms of the brand, because it's not just a vodka. It's, it's teas, it's vodka teas, and the only one. So they don't transcend that information. So when I do it, I can sell 60 cases in a day, So I'm having an issue with the agencies where the people that they hire, either they don't understand the brand, or they're not putting the effort to understand the brand, to give the customer exactly what it is, the way I do it. Does that make sense?
Think about it this way. Think about the difference of a one-off event that you're just throwing into the market versus a program. When you do a full-on program, and we can talk about the sidebar if this is taking up everyone's time.
No, I'm just curious because I've been watching the two of you for a year now.
When you do a program and a staff tasting training with the team, you introduce the program, it's consistent work. These individuals now are vested because they know they're going to get routine work, right? They're caring, they're learning. Asking a brand ambassador to know all these things, learn the brand detail, know it back and right, and just for 2 hours, and they're never going to see you again. It's an investment for them to take that time to get educated, show up early, all the things. So it's a higher price point to get them to care in that capacity. So think about a program and the difference of the ROI you'll receive if you have, consistency in the market for them. So instead of doing 30 in 30 states, consider focusing in on one state and doing 4, one every week, and see the difference of return that you'll get.
Yeah, I've seen bigger returns when I have my actual salespeople that do it.
Well, of course, ma'am, because they've got the training, but this is eliminated with online trainings that you can create with, like, we have a video and a test for all of our team. So we would either have you supply that or we would create it for your brand. They watch the video test or take the test, then they get assigned the brand team to work the brand. So.
And they can remember all of that between all of the brands that they're, because that's what I have with the other agency. They're working so many other brands. This younger generation, they just forget stuff.
Ours is accessible 24/7 to their phones. So they can access all this info, PowerPoints, and all the things from our software that I built. But I think agencies, and Sherman as well, I think you hire the best you can find. I think you train them to the best of your ability. What happens when they, exit the stall? You've got to monitor it, stay on it, make sure you're available to answer questions they have, and work with them.
But if what you said is so critical. It's up to, like Vanessa, in your case, it's up to you to tell that story in a way that they're going to be able to retain it. Whether it's video, whether it's interactive, and it's got to be accessible, and it's got to be in their face constantly. And there's no better person to train them than you, because that's exactly where it comes from, your passion.
Ideally, their first interaction with your brand is not when they walk up to that sampling booth. Like, ideally, they have brand recall before they get there, because you've told them, hey, I'm available in this store where we know you shop. and you're serving them ads for months as you're, you know, coming into that, either focusing on that key account or coming into a new market, you know, this is what we tell brands all the time is, you know, it's great that you got on the shelf. It's great that you have tastings, but somebody's going into that store, they already know, you know, most of them know what they're going in to buy. So when they stop and they talk to your folks, they talk to you, that's awesome. But it's even better if they look at you and they say, oh, that's that brand that's been popping up in my feed. That's that brand that's been emailing me, whatever the case may be. Because now you're, you know, you're on you're in the red zone about to score a touchdown instead of starting from your own goal line, trying to get them to make a purchase.
And having the team do tasting trainings on, you know, and on-premise accounts with the staff when they, you know, have them book them a half hour early, have them do a survey of the account, have them do a staff tasting training with all the waitresses and bartenders. This only helps them get behind the brand.
Got it. Okay, good. All right.
And then the
Guys will be-
geofencing thing, like Brian and I have been working together, and if you can geofence a retail store and then go into the retail store saying, we're driving traffic to you, that will give you a leg up to get display space, sell more bottles to that off-premise account. Like, who wouldn't love the support as an independent liquor store owner than to say, hey, we're running ads to your store, so would you mind giving us, you know, a shelf talker, end space, like pick up a couple extra cases? Like, it's a great way to sell cases of
Right.
product.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
That's
You
good
know,
to
and
know.
you mentioned even the idea of you know, when you're in the store, the you know, being geofence, that you can literally send a notification to somebody that something's going on in that store. Nobody's doing that.
Mm,
That's easy to do with a beacon too.
yeah. Yep. Anybody who's within, hey, guess what's happening in aisle 15?
But you know, it's a bummer is when, like Brian and I have been on the call recently, that we spent the majority of the call educating brands on, because their questions are like, how is this possible? What do I need to, like, they're worried about them personally versus what this will do for their brand.
Right.
right.
So it's like catching someone up to 2023 and then trying to say, okay, and they just want to go back to like, wait, how is this possible? So,
well, you're really catching them up to 2020 or 2019.
Right.
It was all there.
yeah.
I'm trying to work in 2020, 2028.
But
Yeah.
I want, Michael, can we talk about the webinar real quick about shipping?
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
online
yes.
stores?
Yes, please.
Okay, I have pulled in our shipping partner who has the license to ship alcohol via UPS and all the guys, and they're willing to do a webinar. And then I also have my online store builder partner to come on board and do a webinar to discuss all of the things, because there's been a lot of questions of how that's legal or that isn't legal. So we wanted to attack the black and white area and then the gray area, so everyone can understand, like, well, it is happening and here's how it's happening or why it's happening. Here's the repercussions of this and that. And, you know, you can't ship to South Carolina. Well, actually you can, and here's what they're going to do. They're going to send you a cease and desist letter. You're going to say, okay, you know, so we're going to talk about how people are doing it, not legal advice by any means. So if anyone has any questions that come to mind, email them to me so we can make sure to address them in the webinar, and then I will send you an invite for the webinar.
Now, when is this scheduled? You said you were.
I would like to do it on Wednesday if everyone's good for Wednesday. If we need to push it back another week, we can, but this is solely for this group. So I've
Wednesday,
asked.
I'm in.
Well, just like, we're not going to publicize it because, you know, again, this isn't legal advice. We're just going to tell you, like, hey,
That's fine.
here's what's happening. Here's how they're doing it. Here's, again, the repercussions of this and that for this scenario. But we want to be able to address everyone's exact questions and concerns with the people that are truly out there doing this daily. So.
Just for me personally, I'm actually going to be on the road on Wednesday. So
Okay.
it would be good. But I also think that if we push it for another week, it'll give Stephanie more time to remind people about it as a special.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. Does the 13th work for everyone? Or the 12th? How about the 12th? Tuesday.
The 12th, because I got the thing on the 13th. The 12th works.
Yeah.
At what time are you gonna do this at?
That's what I was gonna say. You want to do it?
Most likely 9:30 Vegas time, so 10:30 Mountain, 12:30.
I've got an 11 o'clock ADI board meeting on the 13th. I'm wide open on the 12th.
Okay,
Yeah, 12
So
is good
wanna
for
do
me.
12:30 on the,
the 12th it is, kids.
The 12th. Yep,
Yeah.
the 12th is good for
Any
me.
questions you want us to address, because we'll do a QA at the end, but we want to go ahead and dive into the questions and address them. So I get a lot of feedback on, you can't ship to 40+ states, and it's like, well, it's happening. So let me tell you, don't tell me you can't when we're doing it. So
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are they willing to enroll like right now, or
Yeah.
this?
You
Okay.
get my emails, girl. You know this. We'll sign you up online today.
Because I'm ready to go. I just did a thing with Tipsy, so I'm getting ready to ship out some cases to their thing, So they have one in DC, one in California, and of course New York. New York, I'm in New York, so it's easy, So they're really an advertising platform. I want to be able to use mine.
Because there's a few things. If you put the 3 together, you'll see some great movement. So I'm going to reach out to you this weekend, and I'm going to bother
I
you.
have movement now. I'm just trying to keep up and pass it off. So, but
Digital
definitely
opportunities that are out there. It's insane what brands could be doing. You don't even have to bother with your distributor right now. Grow your own traction and make the distributors want you.
right. And the other thing is too, I don't know, I'm going to bring this up. I was just in the Caribbean, and I think all of the brands, I'm in an export program. It's under the government, export.gov. And is it XM? I think it's XM, EXIM.gov. So when I went to the Caribbean for Grenada, although the Grenada distillers, they hosted me in the hotel, I got the US to pay for it. Actually, I got the US and the New York State to pay for my flights and my meals and my alcohol too, because it was considered R&D, because it was research and development. But the export, they're trying to get more brands to export. So I set up a partnership with Grenada Distillers, because they're the #1 rum. They're everywhere in Grenada and in the Caribbean. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in their rum, and then I'm going to bottle it here. So that way it's bottled by me, and they automatically get into, they can have distribution. And then I'm sending my product there, already bottled, and they're going to be my agent to distribute to all the hotels, the casinos, and all of that in Grenada. And then we're going to hit Guyana and the other Caribbean islands, because they are there. So what I want to do is bring other brands through my company for the distribution in the Caribbean for a fee.
What about Tahiti? Because I can hook you up with Tahitian rum. You have a non-compete.
Is it the distillery?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll bring it in if they want it brought in, but definitely.
They're tied into all the grocery chains in the French Poly. So your brand is, if you're doing that swap, that's an amazing move. Props.
Yeah, but then I'm able to bring
just a pretty face.
No, I ain't pretty today, honey, because I look a mess. I was doing a batch last night, but I'm also want to bring in other brands. Just like I'm gonna I want to be the conduit for other brands that I can help to the Caribbean. I'm also doing Europe. There's an EMAS program. It's called, I forgot what EMAS stands for, but the grant money, just think about this. What we pay as craft distillers and excise tax, and with our taxes, it goes towards grants for your state. So I think everybody should look into their state, especially distillers, craft brewers, craft beverages, and see if there's a grant program. Because right now, New York has got a lot of money, that's tapping in. So I've been taking advantage of. I've been utilizing that for
Can you
traveling.
It varies by state.
Yeah, it does vary by state. So I'm just telling everybody to look into their state. But
Yeah,
then the feds,
Colorado, for example, goes literally to the old age fund for the state. Doesn't go to LED, doesn't go to it is in the Constitution, all alcohol excise goes to the old age fund. So we can't touch any of that.
oh my God, I won't be moving to that state. No, we've been getting money for equipment. I just got a grant for equipment. But then you have the federal program, which is WASUDA, WUSA. I'll send it to everyone. You have the food export. You have the southeastern U.S. trade sector. They're paying. That's how I got the money back for my flights. So they're paying for that, and they'll pay for marketing. They have a branded program, whereas they'll give you 50% of what you spend outside of the US for exporting, for marketing, so if we can try to put some programs together, Ryan Sherman, I mean, if we can collectively put some programs together, then we will be able to bring other brands outside of the US, even pay for pro wines. I'm finding out about pro wines that they'll pay for that. That's how I went to Hong Kong. The US paid for it. We're not tapping into that market. It's saturated here, but we can do so well with US brands outside of the US. So we gotta figure that out.
I just jump in there.
Yeah, he
Sorry.
wants a recap on the webinar concept, which is basically on it's for us only. Ryan's got her shipping partner, global shipping partner, involved to really go through answering any questions related to how brands are circumventing direct to consumer fulfillment.
You'll be allowed to sign up with them too. They'll sign you up as, you know.
Okay, no, I'm interested. What I might do is patch in our importer on the discussion. If you send me an invite, I'll pass it on. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. No, just I heard you talking about the export stuff. Vanessa, Pro Wine is definitely a great show. Really worthwhile going to. And it's the biggest show in the world. You get people from everywhere at it, so it's well worth attending. And if you get the government to pay for some of your attending, all the better. Just on that, how are these tariffs going to? Does talk about tariffs again cropping up? I saw some newspaper articles about it. I know Stephen is jumping in there. He's gonna
So
knows
you know,
the
I do a
background.
lot of government affairs work, and I'm heavily involved with the state, with our state guild, with the various national organizations. All of us have banded together, and we're working with a couple of the U.S. senators and on the U.S. trade representative to try and get something done before January, because in January what will happen is on U.S. whiskeys, punitive tariffs related to the steel and aluminum and subsequent Boeing Airbus disputes will be not only returned, they were on a 2-year hiatus, but they will rise from 25% to 50%, which means, and that's one of the reasons that my company has struggled a little bit, is because we built a business that was heavily export focused. We're not sure what's going to happen. We believe that the EU will acquiesce, but the U.S. government and the Biden administration needs to do something. You know, this is a mess that was created by the trade war that the Trump administration started, and we honestly don't know. We're hopeful, but you know, I spoke to Senator Hickenlooper, who's one of our Colorado senators, yesterday, personally on this issue, and he said, I can't guarantee that I'll support it, but I grew up in the alcohol beverage industry, and you know where my heart lies. And I said, thank you, sir. You've become quite the politician. So, yeah. I will tell you that the gentleman from Indiana, And the gentleman from, I believe it's Nevada, one Republican, Todd Young, one Democrat, I think it's Senator Cortez, are leading the charge in the Senate, and it's bipartisan, and there's really no downside politically, but that doesn't mean with the insanity that we're currently experiencing in Washington, that somehow this isn't going to get sucked into some political tit for tat somewhere. And of course, that will harm us.
Yeah.
A pain that I'm feeling all too well.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
the
I think
timing? What's the timing on when this could?
January 1.
It's January 1.
yeah. So from I know from this side of the pond, Stephen, our trade association, Drinks Ireland, and we're part of Spirits Europe, are extensively involved in lobbying on this as well from a European side. So
everyone
it's not good for
understands.
it's not good for any of us to
It's
have
not.
have tariffs of any sort. And you know, the steel and aluminum, as you guys say, tariffs affect people who buy drinks cans as well. So it's, you know, it is knock-on effects in several
So
places.
everybody in this group understands, between 2018 and 2022, the U.S. spirits industry lost 49% of EU market share and 54% of UK market share. When the tariffs were temporarily repealed, largely due to the efforts of the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, most of that business was recovered, but the people that maintained their market share, the American producers, and this subsequently were able to grow market share, were largely the large players. The small players have not been able to recover a lot of their market share. I should say our market share. If this happens again, if it goes to 50%, it will devastate U.S. whiskey's presence in the EU and the United Kingdom.
Wow. It's horrible.
Okay, on that sobering note.
I can send you guys a link.
Sorry for bringing it up.
No, I can send you guys a link to Spirits United, where they
Yes.
actually have an automated form online where you can contact your senators and ask them to support Catherine Tay's letter, trying to get the administration to address this, if you all would like. In fact, I'll put the link in the chat right now.
That would be good.
Yeah, and I think I've seen some articles, Stephen. This is why I brought it up. I've seen some articles coming up in the media, and obviously it's producers, and a lot of them are smaller producers. So it's no harm to get onto your local media outlet as well and sort of say, we're really upset about these tariffs and what they can do, because all that helps to create the political pressure.
Yeah, you need to create some noise. And I think I saw some articles that, saying production in the UK would be cut like a pretty significant percentage. If this went through, there'd be a major, hole.
Yeah, and I think link it to jobs in your state as well.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are employing people, and if this goes through, our sales go down. That means we lose jobs in our state, and that's what that means. So, that's how you phrase it anyway. Just to end on a nice note, we were at the Irish Whiskey Awards this week, and we won best grain Irish whiskey. So we bet some of the big guys. Our runner up in the category was Method and Madness, which was made by Irish distillers, which is Pernod Ricard, who are the biggest in Irish whiskey. They make Jameson is their main brand. So that was really sweet. But we also bet some other ones in the category as well. So
congratulations, that's big.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And we
Ryan's got whiskey in her coffees, which she's showing us right now.
Hey, Carrie, whose team are you on?
and we retained the title for best Irish vodka. We handed it from one product, which we've held since 2019 and 2022, and we handed it over to our new product, which was a vanilla vodka. So that was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that one, so that's been sweet as well.
Making a vanilla vodka right now. That's
Yeah.
cool.
The one I make is it's all natural vanilla, no sugar, no flavorings, no nothing, just natural vanilla. Really, really good. Good products, good spirit, just simple.
Sidebar, so we switched our team to make sure they don't say flavors and they say varietals in that case to make sure people understand there's no added sugar.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's nice.
A lot of the
Yeah.
sampling teams will say flavors and that's incorrect.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sounds like chemicals.
Mhm.
Flavors.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, well, let's do this. We have not heard from Ernesto, and we have not, well, we have heard, but we haven't really given him a chance to share anything. And Lisa has also been patiently listening in. Do you guys want to, anything you want to share with the group before we tie it in a bow for the holiday season?
Well, good morning to everybody. No, just pretty much as far as our small business goes, it's been kind of flat season with tequila, mezcal, these Mexican spirits. Fairly, I can't complain. Like I was mentioning before everybody came on, I'm heading to Mexico on Sunday. Gonna have an emergency bottling of our tequila Xoloscuincle that we thought we had bottled enough to push through the year, and we ran out. We ran out of products, so it's a good problem to have. Going to be traveling next week doing that, but other than that, we're pretty good. A little bit on what was being mentioned about the seltzers and stuff in cans and stuff like that. We really bombed on almost everything we've got that came in a can. This year's like, I've still got the warehouse full of pallets of seltzers and ready mixes and stuff, tequila based and mezcal based, stuff like that. So it is, we definitely saw that here. And other than that, our tequila's doing good. We're coming out with a joven of our solo blend. That's part of what we're going to be bottling. It's a what is it? 60 20 6 90 9 10 60% blanco, 20 repo, 20 añejo. It's considered a joven at 48% alcohol. Really great stuff, high proof. I'm listening to everything about no alcohol, stuff like that. We're going the other way. We're going up higher. We're going up higher, and that's about it. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year to everybody. That's pretty much how we're going. The agave prices are down, but the good thing about agave is that we don't have to harvest it now. That it's not worth what it was 6 months ago. So not a problem. We're gonna keep pushing through. Our agave is gonna be ready in still 4 5 years. We can leave it in the ground for a while. Doesn't go bad. Just gets better if anything.
All right, very good. I don't know if Lisa is still there.
I'm still here, but no, I've just been kind of listening in. We just got back from a month in Taiwan and Japan and promoting the distillery. So that's kind of what we've been up to, but we're kind of feeling the same stuff. We're seeing a lot in our NA. Seem like I'm ordering more NA for our restaurants than I am wine or beer right now, which has been very, people are looking for the non-alcoholic root beers and seltzers and kombuchas. So it's been very interesting watching that shift so quickly.
And so your Taiwan, your visit, are you focused on, this is for the distillery, so it's
Correct.
export market?
Yeah, we were with 2 different Wasada missions. So we did one in Japan and then one in Taiwan. And then we were with the Montana governor's mission for trade as well. And that was in Taipei.
So that's the program, Lisa.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's great.
We use Wasada and then obviously the state funding for the other one. So yeah, I think there is a lot of movement, and what you were saying about the grants and so forth. There's a tremendous amount of money, especially for the Western United States groups. I obviously don't look into the rest of the country, but I know that sector, which there's some that are independent to Montana, and then there's some that are tagged just for Wasada.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you again for another fruitful session. I think that we continue to cover new ground and hopefully forge new bonds. And I will, Ryan, if you will I will send Stephanie a note and copy you on it, so we can have a chain, and she can send out the invite for the special webinar to all of our attendee lists. And then if you want to follow up with some other follow-ups, you can work with her on that. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great holiday season. We will see you on the 12th.
Yes.
Right.
Happy
Sounds
holidays.
good.
And then our
Everyone
next official Drinks Professionals would be on Friday, January 5th.
All right, January 5th.
Friday, January 5th. All right.
Okay, see you folks. Have a good one.
Ryan, hit
Everyone.
me up this weekend.
Oh, Vanessa, I'm gonna bother you. Don't worry about it.
Happy holidays, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
Cheers.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays.
Michael, I'll be in touch.
Bye.
Okay.